Hi everybody, Hellcrax here, and welcome to Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 158. And today we're going to be talking about that mech, the 70-ton Grasshopper, that I really enjoy taking out into the field. It's one of my favorite heavy mechs, but, well, let's just say the new 5J, or Juliet Grasshopper, is not something I really enjoy. I played it before because here's the mech you get to play with, and you look at it and go, oh man, this version. So yeah, it's not one of my favorite at all. It has lots of problems. Be honest with you, I'd rather run the 5H, the old 3039, 3025 version from the Succession Wars. That seems to be a better mech than this one. But let's just delve into why I like or dislike it. Alright, the Grasshopper, 70 tons, is a 464, has 22 heat sinks, which is still the same as the old 5H, which is pretty common. Still has 208 points of armor, which is pretty respectable for a heavy mech. It's pretty close to being maxed out. It carries around the ER large laser instead of a large laser in the center torso. Has a medium laser in the right and left arm. Then it has a Streak 2 system in the head. Alright, okay. They got rid of the LRM-5 for a Streak. That's okay. We can live with that for something a little closer. We still got all those medium lasers. Oh, wait, we don't. No. It carries around 2 tons of ammunition. Why would you need 2 tons of ammunition for a Streak 2? No, don't need it. 1 ton's more than enough. And then we have they got rid of 2 medium lasers in favor of an anti-missile system in the right and left torso. It has a ton of ammo on the left torso. So now we're carrying around a whole 3 tons of ammunition for this thing, where before we had 1 ton of ammunition, which was kind of a problem for the H version, because it always seemed every once in a while they'd find that 1 ton of ammunition, and there goes your LR5 ammunition, blows up because you don't have a case. This doesn't have case either. Now you're carrying more ammunition, and you have a good tendency to blow yourself to pieces because of it, which has happened to me with this mech. Now, it carries a jump jets in the left and right leg. Alright, so I've already discussed why I kind of dislike this thing, because you got rid of 2 medium lasers. Be honest with you, I'm a medium laser fanboy. That's probably the Inner Sphere's best weapon system they have until the ER medium laser comes along. Until that point, you know, the standard medium laser is the best bang for your buck, and then you're getting rid of 2 of them to put an anti-missile system on. And if you're playing, like, say, against clans, your life expectancy is pretty short anyway. So, you know, I guess they kind of look at possibly knocking down a few of those missiles coming your direction, but, you know, and then throwing in an extra ton of ammunition for the Streak 2. Yeah, that just seems like, okay, we want to turn it into a commerce raider or something for long range operations. Well, if you want to go that route, you were better off before with the LRM instead of the Streak. You know, yeah, you get 100 shots with the thing, but it's an enclosed weapon system. And I'd rather have the LRM-5 over the Streak 2 on this mech, just because I'd rather have something that I can keep some distance away from somebody while I'm either falling back, retreating, or, you know, doing a retrograde of some type. But they gave that Streak in there. So, yeah, it doesn't make up for the loss of 2 medium lasers at all. No. Yeah, typically your LRM-5 is going to do 3 points damage. That's kind of like a harassment type amount of damage. It's the Grasshopper's long range crit seeker, in favor of a couple 2-point shot blocks, which, you know, yeah, if you do hit with it, you're doing 4 versus kind of the average of 3. So there's an increase, but, you know, you're losing a whole bunch of range with it. And of course, when you get in close, the argument could be said is, yeah, you got the LRM-5 had those minimum ranges. Well, if you get in close, you're going to get hit with all the medium lasers. I'm not worried about that LRM-5 anymore. I'd rather be using my medium lasers in it with 22 heat sinks. Yeah, let's see, you have, this thing doesn't worry about heat, because with the, you got 18, 22, yeah, about the only thing that really causes you any heat on this thing up close is if you actually lock on with the SRM and if you jumped, and that's not a big issue, obviously, with that. And before, with the you fire the medium lasers and that large laser, yeah, the only time you're going to really heat up is if you fired every single weapon system and jump, and that's not really a lot. That's just a small amount. So, yeah, that, obviously you can tell. I'm not a big fan of the J version, not at all. Just because of what they did to it. It kind of, to me, it's like they put some, well, they got better weapon systems. Well, it's not really weapon systems. You got defensive systems on board versus more offensive capability. I'd rather do the damage than mitigate some of the damage coming your direction and have the potential of exploding, which has happened to me. So that kind of leaves a negative taste in your mouth, I guess. Now, let's see here. There is some versions of this thing floating around out there. Obviously, we just talked about the J. Not a fanboy at all. Then there's the 5N, which is one of those ones I really like using. This one gets rid of the LRM-5 and the ER, or not the ER large, but the large laser in favor of a PPC. Okay, that's increases the range a bit. And yeah, you're losing some damage, but you're hitting with something that does 5 points of damage, and it adds a extra medium laser. So now you got 5 medium lasers and a PPC. This one I'm a really big fan of. I don't think I've talked about this one in the last video, but it, which was right around the 60s, maybe 63, I think it was. The 5N is a good mech. I like it. Of course, they always say it has a better chance of overheating. Yeah, with 5 medium lasers and a PPC, you fire all those at once. That's 25 heat. It has 23. And if you jump, there's 4 more, 3 to 4 more. So yeah, you can go up 7. So that you do that a couple turns, and you're really cooking. But you don't have to worry about an ammo explosion at all. So that's a good one. And the 5N is a good basis for doing a modification. If you have a 5N and you want to take it into the field in 3050 era, and you got some technology upgrade stuff, we're going to talk about it. The 6K, which comes out in 3064, is using Indosteel. Okay, so we're going up here, making it a better mech, which as also go back to the 5J. The 5J, if you had ferrofibers thrown on board, you could probably max out your armor on this thing, and then maybe even have some extra space left over for something else. Okay, let's go back to the 6K. It has Indosteel, which is good. 17 double heat sinks, which I really like the idea of. It has an ER large laser, 5 medium pulse lasers. So basically, they downgraded the number of heat sinks by 5 and threw that 5 tons into medium pulse lasers. And the LRM-5 launcher is replaced with a Streak 4 launcher and a ton of ammo with case. Wow. And it also has a C3. So this one is kind of like the sort of a dream version of the mech. So it has lots of space on board. It has the extra technology. This is not a bad mech at all for in close fighting, and also with that C3 it works really good. And then you have your crit-seeking weapon system. So when you get in close, you don't have to fire that large laser. You fire those pulse lasers and that streak, and you can really tear somebody up pretty good if you get into range. And it's a good city fighter too. That's pretty much why I look at it. That is its primary role that you want to throw that mech into. Now the 7K, introduced in 3068, the 7K replaces the weapons with an eye towards the Grasshopper, making independent supply concerns. So that's pretty common with the way I look at it. It has 2 arm-mounted light PPCs for long range. Short-range weapons include a snub-nose, twin snub-nose PPCs, and a head-mounted ER medium laser in place of the streak launcher. So this is taking the whole concept of the 6K and kind of changing it around. It also has a Guardian ECM and the slave unit. So this turns it into a long-range raider. You know, this, like I always like to call it, convoy raider, the supply depot raider, whatever you want to call it. It goes behind the lines, and you don't want to get it into any protracted fight, because its whole job is to cause havoc and destruction with the light PPCs, and you got snub-nose PPCs and that ER medium laser along with the ECM, kind of protected against like Artemis and stuff. I like this one. Let's see, I've used it when we played against, let's see, probably against the Wobbs, might have been. Yeah, I think that was one at Gen Con, or maybe it was Origin. I can't remember. But I've used it before. Not a bad mech. Then we got the 7P, the Arc Royal Mechworks. The 7P uses a torso-mounted cockpit. Interesting concept. Endo-steel, and then a light fusion engine. Mounts 6 improved jump jets, so it's more mobility. And it has an active probe on board. Also a difference between the 7X and the 7P. Its weapons, instead of the medium pulse lasers, it carries large X pulse laser. So this is, you're starting talking, and it has an ER medium laser in each arm and one in the head. It's kind of one of those ones where it's using the slightly more advanced weapon system. Yeah, it's like a test bed kind of look at it. Be honest with you, I don't think I've ever used that version before, because that's getting up into the era where we usually don't play. Now, we've played it, I maybe faced against it at Gen Con or Origins. It's been a while, but maybe we blew one of those away. So it's been a while since I've seen one of those. Then we got the C. This is based on the 3052 Grasshopper C, carries a C3 slave, which is good. So it can be integrated into a C3 Lance, which is nice. There's also, let's see where we got to make room for the C3 unit. The ammunition for the streak launcher is reduced by 1 ton. Obviously, that makes sense. You don't need 2 tons of streak 2 ammo. You just need 1. And since the streak launcher already has an ammo efficient design, so it's no drop in performance. So yeah, that's basically, it's take the 5J, and all they did was reduce 1 ton of ammunition and then make a C3 slave and tossed on board. Obviously that is makes a lot of sense, because right there it says there's no need for that extra ton of ammo. So put it to good use, and they did. Even though the J doesn't have a lot of firepower, it's kind of like try to turn it into a slow-moving heavy scout. Maybe if you threw it into, let's say this is the scout for the assault lance. Look at it that way. kind of funny in a way. And then we have the Ghost Hunter. The Ghost Hunter is a testbed prototype for stealth technology acquired under shady circumstances. Although it looked good on paper, the stealth systems catastrophically failed during testing and tossed to the scrap heap. Alright, so that is everything when it comes to the known variants. Then there's some custom variants out there that, like, say, you got the Gravedigger, the Grasshopper Reynolds, and the 7X, which is the experimental version, which we kind of talked about a little earlier, which became the 7P. Now, what can you do with this mech? Well, there's a couple options out there. My way of looking at it is that you take either the 5H or the 5N. The 5N is actually a pretty good one to look at, which is one I've done before. Make it the basis of my upgrade. And take a 5N, which already has a PPC on board. So, but that's in one torso. And what I've done with it is, let me bring it up here, the 5N, which 5, there we go. Bring it up here. What I've done with mine was, you still have you have an ERPPC, so we're now taking the M version, the 5N, and I knocked off 5 heat sinks, put it at 17 doubles, take that 5 extra tons, and what did I do? I threw that medium or ER large laser back on. And since you already have 17 double heat sinks, you can dissipate 34 heat. That's pretty good. So now we have all that extra tonnage to play with. Threw that ER large laser back in the center torso, and then this also carries 6 medium lasers, all because of throwing ferrofibrous armor on board. With the ferrofibrous armor, I put 215 points of armor, and then use that extra tonnage to put another medium laser. So now you got 6 medium lasers, an ERPPC, and an ER large laser with 17 double heat sinks. And it's still a 464. It's not a bad mech. It's good convoy raider. You have lots of enclosed weapon systems. You have some long-range weapon systems. You got the capability to dissipate heat, and you got good armor. And all because you took like a 5N or a 5H and then got rid of a few weapon systems. Now, dropping off the LRM-5 in favor of a medium laser to the head, that's good. Taking that tonnage and throwing it elsewhere, you don't have to worry about ammunition. You can go operate behind the lines for a long period of time, and by dropping some of those heat sinks in favor of doubles, you can throw that improved weapon system. So now out at range 19 you have an ER PPC and an ER large laser, so you can do 18 points of damage, where before best you probably do is 13. So you got an increase, and you have a better weapon system to boot without having to worry about someone possibly getting an ammo hit on you. Let's see, then there's we were talking about the 6. Yeah, here we go. This is another version I ran with, is going off the 5N, which I call the 6N. It's not official, but basically, you still got the same thing. You got the ER PPC, the ER large laser, and then you have six medium lasers. So it's basically like the one we just talked about. Drop one more heat sink for down to 16, and then you're able to put a C3 slave on board. There you go. So it's basically the same mech, but with one less heat sink in favor of a C3 system. So you're able to, if you got a network like that, works really good. This thing just tears things up in a city fight. If you're facing off against like clan elementals or something like that, you can put the hurt down on them really good. So there you go. That's pretty much everything in a nutshell. That's the mechs I which the Grasshopper had become. But obviously, when they look at it in the, let's say, immediately after 3050, technology advancements are not all available. But that's how the fluff works. But you know, when it comes to game terms, that's necessarily the case. And people like to, you know, kind of push the envelope a little bit. So that is the Grasshopper in a nutshell. It's good, bad, and ugly with the 5J, but it can be improved just by taking some of the older mechs that you may have in your mercenary company and just do some upgrades with some standard equipment that's now available in the 3050 era. And then if you get into the 3060s, heck, you can start throwing ER medium lasers and stuff like that on board. And there's even times when could you imagine this mech if you had clan weaponry to be able to install on it? That would be nasty. Or a clans get old. Turn this into a Grasshopper 2C. That would be an interesting concept. Yeah. Second line mech, a Grasshopper 2C. Nice to see you again, Grasshopper. Well, that's everything. Hope you guys like it. Like and subscribe and share with all your friends. This is Hellcrex. You have a great day.